everyone, so this is another Halloween tutorial and this one's a little bit more gory and disgusting. So this is a half eaten, half torn off, flesh revealed face. It's just nice and disgusting. And for those of you who like this type of look, I also did an unzipped zipper face last year, which I'll link up there. So this look, essentially you don't have to do it all over your face. You could do a little section. You could also add some torn flesh along the seam here, which I didn't do, but you could most certainly try that as well. It's more just to show you guys how to get this burnt flesh kind of appearance, which is nice and revolting. So I hope you guys like this tutorial. All products that I used will be shown throughout the video as well, and any questions, please feel free to leave them below. Hope you guys enjoy this one and have a happy Halloween. So the first step is to apply a moisturiser all over your face. So I've put a moisturiser all over my face and down my neck. Basically put it wherever you're going to be applying the liquid latex. Next is a nude eyeliner or lip liner, something that's not going to stand out too much but that you're still going to be able to see. And we're going to map out the face and basically put down where we're going to be applying the liquid latex. So I'm going to cover almost half of my face, and this is just going to give me a guide to see where I'm going to stay with the liquid latex. So just start wherever you think you might want to start. And like that. So as you can see, there's just sort of like an outline where you're going to stop. This will also give you an idea of the shape and how it's going to look like in the end, and you can make any changes and mix it around if you don't like the way it looks. Next, you want to get your liquid latex. Today I'm using Mayron's liquid latex, and it's the skin coloured liquid latex, and a brush. In most cases your brushes will get destroyed from using liquid latex. If you're really thorough with the way that you clean it, sometimes it's okay, but put it this way, I wouldn't be using a really expensive brush, even just going down to your dollar store, $2 store and buying a cheap set of paint brushes. You don't really need a great brush when you're applying liquid latex. A good brush works the same way as one of these anyway. So what I'm going to do is just apply a thin layer of the liquid latex in that section, avoiding the eye and the lip area. So don't put it around the eye area. We're going to be fixing that up after, but we're not actually putting any latex in this area or around the lips either. Whilst you're waiting for that to dry, because this is probably the part that takes the longest, is actually just waiting for the layers to dry, rip up some squares of toilet paper and just divide them into single ply sections. And what I mean by that is when you get toilet paper, it'll normally be 2-ply or 3-ply, and that's just the amount of sheets. So pull it apart, so you just get 2 single sheets. That's what we're going to be using in the next step, to just make everything look a little bit more gory and texturized. Okay, so that's mostly dry now. I'm going to start from this section, which is more dry than the rest of it, and just start to apply the toilet paper sheets. So what you want to do is get a really thin layer of the liquid latex, apply that in small sections, get some toilet paper, rip it into squares. They don't have to be perfect. You can rip smaller pieces of paper, you can rip larger sections, because we're going to go over them as well again with a thin layer once that's all dry. So it's around this time when you're working with the chin section and around the mouth with the smile lines that you want to try to keep your skin stretched or your mouth open as it's drying. That way when you talk after it's dry, it won't split open or crack. and it'll just be a little bit more comfortable for you. At least that's what I found when doing last year's zipper face. It made it a lot better once it had dried. And if you're interested, that video is up there, so you can check that one out as well. So once you've covered all the areas that you want with the paper, wait for that layer to dry. The last layer that we're going to be applying is a thin liquid latex layer over the top of the paper, but you want to wait until each layer dries. This layer in particular is the one where you want to keep your mouth open or neck stretched out as it's drying. Not a lot, but just enough that it's going to be comfortable for you for the rest of the night. So as it's drying, I'll probably stay like this, just so it doesn't set really tight. Okay, so now that's set, we want to apply the final thin layer of liquid latex. So using the same brush again, just apply it in the areas and sort of work down the paper. And this is where you can start to texturize it. So in some areas you might want to flick it up a little bit. But yeah, just apply this really thin layer wherever it needs it, just to cover the toilet paper before we apply the fake blood and all the other special effects kind of makeup to it. This is also the stage where if you get to an edge where you're not doing it, you can blend it out with this really thin layer of liquid latex. So say for example on my neck, you could go all the way down your neck, but just for this tutorial I'm not going to do that. Okay, so once you've applied that final liquid latex layer, before it dries, you can get a pair of tweezers, and any sections where you might want it to be a bit more peely or blistered, just overall a little bit more gory, just lightly get the tweezers and sort of lift up sections. At this stage, this is when the liquid latex is still a little bit tacky, but not completely dry. So if you can see that, you can just sort of grab the paper and just sort of give it a little bit of a pull. And just pull it back, like that. So once that liquid latex layer is dry, you want to set it with a neutral setting powder. I'm using Ben Nye's Neutral Set, which basically has no colour. You can use a powder that has a tint to it, so like a greyish tint or a green tint, depending on the look that you're going for, and just to set that liquid latex. Next on the eyes, I'm just going to apply some eyeshadows, so a red and a black eyeshadow. I'm using Max Carbon as the black and Inglot's 366 as the red. It's the least shimmery red I could find in my collection anyway. You want to be careful when using things like reds on your eyes, so the Makeup Forever Flash colour case, the red and the pink, they're not actually eye safe, and sometimes that's because they can actually stain the skin too. So I'm just going to apply some of the red just all around. We're going to be covering most of it with fake blood anyway, but this is just to kind of blend it all in. Doesn't have to be really neat either. That's the good thing with this look and any kind of gory Halloween look. For most of them you don't actually have to be that good at applying makeup. You don't have to be a professional, it's more just trial and error and just having fun with it. I'm going to work some of that around my lip line as well. Using the same brush, I'm just going to get some MAC Carbon, so just a matte black, and apply that on my lid and into my socket as well. So next I'm just going to use the Mayron Bruise colour wheel and apply pretty much the red and the black from that using a cosmetics wedge or sponge. Sometimes I might use the brown, it just depends on how it's looking. but you want to apply the black to the areas that sort of need to be a little bit deeper. So the blisters, maybe around the nose, around the mouth, anything that needs to have that depth to it. So I'm just going to get that right on the end of the sponge, just like that, and apply that into that area there, into that section. And again with this one. Now in some cases, if you're going for more of a burn, you could just get a light coverage of the black on the sponge and just kind of tap it over the top, so it sort of just catches in certain areas and it doesn't get all of the texture. That way when it's finished it'll actually make it look a lot more textured as well. This step always looks kind of messy, but when you get the fake blood over it, that's when it really starts to look a lot better. So with this palette, you can't actually use the colours with the eye or near the eye area. So just be careful of that. Always read the instructions for your products and follow the rules. Particularly when you're dealing with the eye area, because it is such a sensitive area. Things like liquid latex, some fake bloods are really, really bad. So be careful with that. I'm just doing the same thing, getting the red on the sponge. If you don't have the bruise colour wheel, you could just use again a black eyeshadow instead of the black, and instead of the red you could get a really deep red lipstick. Something like that would work as well. Or just even some face paint. So you go to a costume shop or a dollar store or something like that and they've got black and red face paint, that would work too. Just applying that. Don't forget the nose. Just go up into the nostrils slightly with the colour. Now with the red around the neck, just sort of use the red to blend it out around the edges of the liquid latex. And then get the black sponge and just with whatever's left, kind of just blend it in together. Now for the fun part, the fake blood. And there are many, many different types of fake blood. I have a few of them, so I'll walk you through what I've got. I'm going to be using a mixture of these fake bloods. The first one is Fresh Scab by Ben Nye. This one isn't eye safe, but it can be used around the mouth. It's a really, really thick, dark, scabbed kind of colour, so it's a really deep red, and it's a wet look kind of fake blood. The next one is called Thick Blood by Ben Nye. This one again is not eye safe. It's a really deep, deep red, similar to the Fresh Scab. Then we've got Mayron Stage Blood. This one doesn't really dry, it's more for dripping or oozing. This one is also mouth safe and it has, I think, a minty-ish kind of flavour. The next one is Coagulated Blood by Mayron. This doesn't move, but it doesn't set, like it doesn't dry. So it's more if you want like a fresh blood look that lasts and it doesn't run, you'd get the Coagulated Blood. And the last one is one that's a little bit more expensive, but I really, really like this particular one. It's Fleet Street Bloodworks Drying Blood in Fresh. Shake well before use. I bought this from Scotty's, and I'll put their details below for anybody in New South Wales or in Australia if you're interested. This particular one, it does dry. The smell from this one is horrible. It really is quite a strong smelling blood. And this particular one, you do not ingest or use in the eye or mouth area. It's such a really strong scent. Also be careful using this one underneath, like in this area, because it'll make your eyes water. It's got a really strong scent to it, but this is the first one that I'm going to be using because it actually dries and comes in different colours, different finishes, but this is a fresh, and it's their drying one. So I really, really like this. So I'm just going to paint that on into the areas using just a brush that came free with some eyeliner. Again, for the blood, you don't need a really good quality brush. Because I like the finish of this one, I'm pretty much going to be putting this all over the latex area, but just avoiding the eye and the mouth area, because this one, it's really, really horrible, at least scent wise. So that is done, that layer of the drying blood from Fleet Street Bloodworks. For anybody interested, in last year's Unzipped Zipper Face, this is primarily the blood that I used. Again, the video up there to check out. But this is the blood that I used because it dries, and when I actually went out that night, people were coming up and asking if they could touch my face because it just looked so gory. So if that might happen to you, it's good to use one that does dry, because once this is dry, you can touch it and it's not going to come off on your fingers, whereas something like the scab or the coagulated blood, they don't dry. So if somebody touches it, they're going to get it on their fingers. Not that that's a big problem for everybody coming up touching your face, but you know, when something looks so gory and disgusting, some people are just like, oh my god, can I just touch that? It's something strange about what people want to do. The next one I'm going to apply is the Ben Nye Thick Blood. This one I'm going to concentrate on the areas such as the big blisters, just areas that I want to have that more sort of scabby, thick kind of look, as you can see straight away, and just kind of blend it out. It doesn't look as unblended in real life. The camera is really picking up on that. But yeah, just sort of get some of that on the brush. Again, I'm using the same brush after I wiped it off. Just apply it into the actual wound or blister and blend it out. This one is safe for use in and around the mouth, but not for the eyes. A lot of fake bloods aren't really eye safe, but it's okay. I'll show you what I'm going to do with the eyes at the very end. So with the fresh scab that I'm using now, which is by Ben Nye, this particular one, it doesn't move once it's on, and the top layer of it is touch dry, so it's dry to the touch, which is nice. This particular one is reddish brown, so it's sort of more like the colour of old blood. I just think it's nice to use different types of fake bloods to make it look a little bit more realistic, and that way it's not all that really typical bright red fake blood. Next one I'm using is the coagulated blood, which basically stays put wherever you put it, and it doesn't really dry, but it just doesn't move. This is my own little one, so I'm just going to use the applicator. Obviously, if you're applying it to other people and not just yourself, use a brush or a disposable applicator and just apply it to a palette or a tray to remain hygienic. And this one is mouth safe and tastes, again, that sort of fake minty. I don't particularly like it, but could taste worse. Next, just for around the eye area, because I want it to blend in a little bit more and not be so matte, I'm going to get a clear lip gloss. Any clear lip gloss will do. And just with my finger, I'm going to sort of apply that over my eyelid, just to sort of blend it in a little bit more. You you could again get a coloured lipstick, a glossy black kind of eye cream eyeshadow. But yeah, I'm just getting some clear lip gloss, going over the black eyeshadow, and kind of just blends in a little bit more. Now you can leave it like this if you want to just go out with a natural face, or if you don't want to apply makeup. I'm going to apply a little bit of makeup just to this side, more with quite a natural finished look. You could go completely glamorous on one side and then have this on the other side. It's up to you what you want to do with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply some foundation and just finish off that side. And for the finishing touch on my makeup side of my face, just that little bit of lip that's still exposed, I'm applying a coral lipstick. This one is Glaze Apricot by Revlon. So that's the end result there. So really it doesn't actually take as long as you would think. Without talking, in the tutorial it takes about 40 minutes to do, if that. If it's your first time ever doing some type of special effects makeup, it might take you closer to an hour to do. It also depends on how far you go down your neck, if you do your ear, how far you go with your fake blood as well. But yeah, if you set aside about an hour, that should be enough time. If you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below like always, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this spooky Halloween tutorial, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.